Okay, this is the annual meeting of the Troy Community Land Bank. It is March 30th, 2022. It's 6:03 PM. Ms. Chairwoman, you may call the roll.
Heather King here, Suzanne Spellin,
Here.
Albert Watson is absent, Brian Barker,
Here.
Andrew Cooper,
Here.
Jeanette Nicholson,
Here.
Aaron Lozier,
Aaron's here.
Yeah, I see him. I didn't hear her.
Yeah,
Might be muted.
yeah.
John Carmelo,
Here.
Christina Maribel, Pat Riley.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the 2021 annual meeting minutes. I think you have a lot of faith in us remembering these from a year ago. But did everybody have an opportunity to review?
Yes.
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 Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Brian, do I have a second?
Second.
Suzanne. Heather King, I vote yes. Suzanne made the second. Brian made the motion. Andrew Cooper,
Yes.
Jeanette Nicholson,
Yes.
Aaron Lozier,
Yes.
John Carmelo,
Yes.
Pat Riley,
Yes.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And for the annual housekeeping, next in front of us, we have the resolution for our annual housekeeping. Kate or Tony, do you want to explain to the board the purpose of this resolution? And has there been any changes?
Something, Kate. Your resolution.
As some of you know, because you've been on the board for a while, each year at the annual meeting, we do the annual housekeeping resolution, which reaffirms all of our policies, procedures, contractors that are appointed by the land bank, such as auditors, legal counsel, bookkeeping, if we do that. There's also a list of committees and reappointments to those committees in there as well. And I think that's it, right, Tony?
Yeah, I was just gonna pull it up.
And that doesn't mean that things can't change, throughout the year, but usually we start the year off with, the resolution approving all of that.
Is there any questions?
I did notice on the committees that we have several members that aren't on any committees. So get ready, folks.
Yeah.
Get on committees. But as you say, we can approve as is, but I just would make note that we probably should get some people that are not on any committees on some committees.
Agreed. And
Okay.
we've been busy, and Tony will have a lot to report, and I'll have some things to report too. We've gotten kind of sidetracked from that kind of stuff, but I know Heather is going to return to that and talk to folks about what committees they might want to be on.
Kate, I did, I know I talked to you about this before, but, and I was gonna make the change. I did, but I apparently didn't circulate it that way. In housekeeping, we have appointment of accounting firm of the land bank as Bonadeo. That right now should be Bowers. Or should the appointment be for the auditing firm?
Well, the auditing firm would be Bonadeo, yes. We haven't decided yet whether we're moving forward with Bowers or someone else. That'll probably be on next month's agenda for discussion.
Wasn't there a
So-
proposal for some new $2,500 a month?
Well, that's in the next meeting, so we won't
Okay.
talk about that here, but yes, we're
Okay.
gonna table that, and I'll do some explaining too, because there's a lot of things this week that have happened, which is why my hair is gray, so we'll talk about it.
So I do have a question regarding the auditing and the accounting of the land bank. I was just doing a quick search and I'm wondering why that a Form 990 has not been filed for 2020 yet.
Because we got an extension And because the audited financials are not done, and that'll be another topic we're going to talk about in the special meeting.
Good.
Filed.
Was 2025.
Yeah,
But do we need to,
actually,
is there a change that needs to be made to this before we? Okay.
well, my suggestion would simply be, right now it reads appointment of accounting firm as being Bonadeo. And I'm suggesting that that be amended to be appointment of the auditing firm as Bonadeo.
Right, that would be right, yes.
And there isn't otherwise an entry on here that's an auditing firm appointment. I'm looking at it, not seeing it.
Yes.
Okay,
So is
Um,
Bonadeo our current accounting firm?
No,
No,
they can't do both.
Good.
And Aaron, I'm looking at a 2021 IRS Form 940.
I just pull everything up on the irs.gov website. It's not
940,
990.
Oh, okay, yeah. You're right.
it wouldn't be filed yet. That's what I just said.
Okay.
And there, just for way of background, because I know you don't have the history, we may not have to file it at all because we're a quasi-governmental unit and we're waiting on an opinion from the IRS. But until we get that official opinion, we have been filing them.
That opinion is in the mail. The same letter IRS wrote for Syracuse Land Bank.
Okay.
Alan Walther from Bonadeo told me it's on its way.
Okay, and we can talk more about that in the other meeting, but
Just want to mention it.
Yeah.
well, and if there's not any other questions, I would, what am I doing?
you're gonna make a motion to
I'll make a
approve, Andrew?
motion. Wow, I was up early and never got back to sleep. I
That's
will make a
okay.
motion to approve as amended.
Do I have a
Okay.
second?
Second,
Was that Brian?
yes.
Heather King, I vote yes. Suzanne Spellin,
Yes,
Brian was the second, Andrew was the first, Jeanette Nicholson,
Yes,
Aaron Lozier,
Yes.
John Carmelo,
Yes.
Patricia Riley.
yes,
Okay, all in favor?
I,
Any opposed?
Heather, just to let you know, Albert has joined us.
Oh, fabulous. Hi, Albert.
Hi. Sorry about that. I had a trip meeting.
That's
Just
okay.
get out of-
All right, Mr. Tazi,
Okay.
annual report time.
Yeah, so Kate, I need to have you let me share the screen. Share screen.
I think I have to make you the host to share your screen, which I just did.
Okay. Let me just find it. I think it's that. Hope it's that. Yeah, it's gotta be it. Okay, so. Okay, you guys seeing that okay?
Tony, you
Yes.
can make it as, oh, never mind.
Are you able to see it okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yep.
It's a full screen view?
no,
no,
I think
Okay.
we're seeing like the presenter view. if
yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's,
means Something to you.
The link that Tony sent out to the actual presentation works really well. I have that up too.
don't have it, but nonetheless,
It was with the meeting invite and the Zoom
yeah.
link.
Yeah, but I should scroll through it here.
It looked good.
Tony,
It
if
looked
you
good.
go to slideshow,
Yeah, thanks. You're right, Suzanne.
no, get out of there
Okay.
altogether.
Yeah, okay.
Exit one more.
Okay, then on the top there, next to animations is slideshow. On the top menu.
Top
Yeah.
menu.
Nope,
No.
nope, not that far. One down.
second line,
Yeah,
Slideshow to
Top
the
menu.
right.
There you
Okay,
go.
I got you.
From the beginning.
from the upper left. Upper left.
Yeah, got it. Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
It's the same view.
Presenter
Okay.
view.
Go to display settings. You should be able to switch the screen.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
No, swap presenter. There you
Hey.
go. No,
Whoops.
lost it.
Try from the beginning again.
Yeah, I just getting the little. Oh, come on. All right.
I could share my screen and you could just tell me to hit the slides.
Well, I.
There
Okay,
you
this will
go. That
help.
should do
Yeah.
it.
Thank you.
Hey, there you go.
So yeah, obviously this is my first Zoom PowerPoint. Okay, first and foremost, I really want to thank Teresa Newton. I got some compliments, quite a few compliments on this year's annual report and presentation. And it all goes to Teresa Newton. She put this together. I mean, we worked on it, but she really built it. So I really greatly appreciate that she did this. We had a little bit of a hiccup yesterday, and I won't get into it, but she sent me the file. It turned out to be the wrong file, which is really unusual for Teresa. And I didn't notice it until late yesterday evening. So we had to scramble to get this together today. And also because the audit is not in this, it's not actually a final annual report yet. So with that, so this is just what the report will provide. Mission statement, who the board of directors was in 2021, not the current board. The highlights of 2021 and the challenges, which we had a few of, and what we're hoping to accomplish this year, and some brief closing remarks. So the mission statement, anyone who's been on the board has seen this probably a billion times. Aaron, I'm sure you've read it. But basically what we do is we take really, really bad buildings and tear them down, stabilize them, or renovate them, or get someone to renovate them so that we can make neighborhoods better, decrease blight, decrease crime, make for a more livable neighborhood, improve the city's tax base, and all those things that all land banks do. So the mission statement says it in nice thought out words, but that's essentially what we do is we take ugly buildings and do the best we can with them. So this is who the board of directors was in 2021. For folks who don't like their pictures, which I never do, my apologies.
I love my picture.
I will say that we do need clean headshots for the new website. So if you guys can provide that, I'll shoot out an email because I've been meaning to for a while. So unless you want this picture on the website, please send me in a headshot. And to the left, this just spells out who the appointing entities are and who they have appointed. All seats are full except, of course, for the Lansingburg School District, which has never filled that seat.
Well, they did at the
It
beginning.
was once.
Oh,
It was
really?
once, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
in the
didn't know
very
that.
beginning.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I know there's talk about making an appointment, so maybe that will go
they are
somewhere.
searching for somebody.
Okay. And so this is the list of meetings that the board of directors conducted in 2021. Obviously, it was a pretty active year. We did not have a meeting in May or July, but we had several months where we had more than one meeting. March. I thought there was another one too,
We
but
didn't have one in August either.
well, this month we've got two, but this is not 2021, so. And these are our board committees, which should be reflected in what we've just passed for the housekeeping. Rather than just read through all this, I think everyone knows who's on what committees. What I should be doing for you guys is putting together a calendar of all this and an updated list of members. It's really the same list by and large, but I do need to update it and circulate it around. So I will get to that when I can get to it. Okay, 2021 accomplishments. They were hard to come by, but we did make some very good accomplishments. 54 Fifth Avenue, which is right there, got their CO on December 17th, 2021. So everyone knows that building is up for sale. It's actually been kind of sold twice. But this is the first time this land bank has actually renovated property. I think we learned a lot of hard lessons, 54 Fifth Avenue and 11 Winnie Avenue. We also, in 2021, stabilized 3229 Sixth Avenue. And that building will be part of the LCAP application. We actually reclaimed 3 properties for the first time in our history in 2021, 785 River Street, 836 River Street, and 3209, 3211 River Street. Kate, thanks for all your work on that. The owners of those properties did not do anything. So thankfully, Kate has a very tight compliance package, and she invoked it. And probably one of the most important things that happened in the two most important things that happened in 2021, we sat down with the city in either late summer or early autumn and started talking to them. And they started to, that discussion started to bring in more people to the table. And it ultimately ended up in the city creating the North Central renovation, I forget what it's called, North Central redevelopment and renovation plan, which they plan to use ARPA funds to largely fund. And they brought, the parties they brought to the table included Habitat and Troy Housing Authority. So that was the most involved that I've ever seen the city with the land bank. And it was just such a positive series of discussions. It just really, really surprised me. So it would be nice to cross the finish line on those discussions with ARPA fund, with an ARPA agreement being signed, but we're getting there. And the Legacy Cities Access Grant, that was $25 million. That kind of came right out of the blue from the governor's office. And initially it was intended strictly for land banks. It's been widened to really any municipality now. But I received an email today from Homes and Community Renewal. They wanted an update, which I provided to them, and they were very happy to hear that we're anxious to get an application into them. So I think they're going to really welcome what they see. And there is Berta Singleton. One of the things we also did this year using enterprise community funds is we used our administrative contract with SEAT. SEAT hired Berta, who was our community liaison. And Berta really, I always say she is a ball of fire. She got so much stuff done, and it was really such good stuff. She conducted some webinars. She helped me get our website to be able to be translated, although that's kind of gone in a different direction now. But she has an access point. If we have someone who comes in here who does not speak English, I think it's the Albany or the Capital Region Language Center can assist us so that we can communicate with folks that don't speak English as their first language. And she also did a lot of other things too, but it's too bad that we couldn't continue that. Okay, 791 River Street, our favorite property. So this was Teresa saying, okay, you guys took 11 and you turned it into lemonade. Well, we're still trying to make that lemonade, but we are slowly getting there. I think everyone knows the story of the original building. We bid it out, we RFP'd it, and the GC started to do the interior demolitions. We were pretty much at the max budget-wise, and they found that all the water on the interior of the building was nothing but powder. The exterior, the mortar seemed fine. I asked what the change order amount would be, and the GC said, and he said this honestly, he said, Tony, the only way I could cover this is on a time and materials basis. I don't know what it would cost. If I had to give you a hard number, I would have to cover myself, and it would be huge. And at that point, I just kind of said, the building's got to go. So at one point, that building was going to be just a vacant building. But because we had $156,000 left, we started looking into building a new structure, which of course is what you're seeing. And, you know, so instead of a vacant lot, and I know we've had a lot of struggles with this building, but in the end, instead of a vacant lot, we're going to have something that is going to be a landmark in North Central. And, you know, I'm really hoping that it's something people will notice and kind of think to themselves, hey, there's something going on in North Central. Before we started recording this meeting, Jeanette mentioned some new construction going on Vanderheiden. With what the city has proposed with the ARPA budgeting for Tri-Housing, Habitat, and for the land bank, in 2022, North Central, if everything goes the way it should, North Central is going to really start to move forward in a transformational way, I believe. So I'm going to cross my fingers on that. So this is 11 Winnie, and these are just befores and afters. Obviously, what you can see, this is the original back porch. This is what's there now. This is what the basement looked like. There's not an after picture. The basement didn't change really all that much. But this is what the interior looks like now. It would be nice if it had appliances, but that's the way it is at present. 54 Fifth Avenue. So you can see it's a typical vacant building that someone just walked away from. In the basement, what you see there is the beginning of the stabilization work. I do have to say, if you guys had seen the cellar before any work started, when there was piles of junk down there, and what it looks like now, I mean, it's hard to say a cellar is beautiful, but by comparison, it really, really did come out nice. And SEAT did do, I think, a very nice job with this building. This is obviously one of the kitchens. One of the decisions George Brower and I made was to replace all the flooring with traditional 3/4 inch hardwood floors, and the interior really looks terrific. These are the properties that we took back: 3209, 3211 6th Ave, 836 River Street, and 785 River Street. If we can use ARPA funds as planned, we'll be demolishing this. And these two properties, 3209, 3211, and 830, that says 834 River Street, should say 836 River Street. That building, or those buildings will be part of LCAP. So I'll have to make that correction on 834 to 836. 834 we acquired from Vestas, so, and they're the same building actually. This actually happened before 2021. for us anyway, we did the stabilization of 3325 Sixth Avenue. And this is actually a really, really good story because the city demanded that this building be torn down. Now, if you look at those two buildings, if you can picture that building without its brother or sister building right next to it, it would really change the streetscape. So folks got together, asked the land bank to come in and accept this as a donation from Aquin Financial Institution. And they gave us $81,000 for stabilization. That wasn't quite enough to do it all. But right now the building is actively under renovation. So this is one of the good stories for us. Oh, sorry. And these are pictures Teresa took last week. These are, this is Eduardo, who is a retired architect. He is the father of the son, Ned, who purchased the building. And I've never seen Ned, so I'm not sure if he's in the picture or not. But Teresa today described some of the work they're doing. She said she wished she could get a better picture of the stairwell, the main staircase, because she said that picture just doesn't do it justice. She said the work they're doing to it is just unbelievably beautiful. They're going to be putting in all radiant flooring throughout the building. So it sounds like they're going to do some really good work in here. So moving on to what we hope to accomplish this year. We would like to sell the two buildings that we have renovated. We're hoping to sell vacant land to Habitat. I can't say that definitively because they have to go through the review process, and someone could submit a purchase application in addition to Habitat. But the 6 lots, it's actually 7 lots. 806, 810, 812, and 814 River Street. They would like to purchase those from the land bank and do new housing. 7 Park Avenue and 9-11 Park Avenue. They would like to purchase those lots. 7 Park Avenue is a vacant building right now. But after demolition, we would bank it with the other 2 lots and they would do new housing there as well. We're also hoping to sell 3 vacant lots and 871 River Street, which is the former bar that's at the northwest corner of River and West Glen Ave. We actually, how can I say this? We were having a lot of problems with maintaining that property. So we spent a couple $1,000s to grub the lots, and it's improved the area just by doing that. And what I'd like to do this year is seed the lots, because I don't know how long that's going to remain vacant. But it's right in the heart of North Central. So if we could do something to aesthetically improve that for the short term, I think it would be a benefit to the neighborhood. 809 River Street is one of the properties we bought from Vesta. It has a beautiful facade. Vesta converted it from the original 3 units to 5 units. And we need to convert it back to 3 units, which the way they carved it up, it would not be hard to do that. So that's something. So this building actually is inhabited. So therefore, it's not eligible to be part of the LCAP program. So we still have to figure out exactly what the programming will be for this. 32 Glen Avenue is a property that was transferred from city ownership to land bank ownership. It's a 2-family with a vacant lot next to it. The interior of the building is just filled with stuff so we need to do a good clean out. And we have to talk about what the programming should be for that. If it was what we did in the old days, it would strictly be, put it on the market and find someone who would renovate it. And maybe that would be the best solution, but it's something we need to talk about and make some decisions on. And obviously, one of our biggest objectives for this year is to complete the legacy access application, get it into New York State, and get that moving forward. So this is the city's overall plan, and it's going to be hard for you guys to pick this stuff out, but these are the 4 lots that Tripp is interested in. This is 3215 6th Avenue, which we purchased from Vesta. This is 834 River Street, which we purchased from Vesta. This is 836. Those are both the same building. 836 is one we reclaimed. This is 871 River Street, which is the bar. This is 102 West Glen. This is 879 and 881. This is the area that Troy Housing Authority is interested in. This is 7 Park Avenue. That's the building that I said Habitat is interested in after it's demolished. Along with, this is actually a double lot, double wide lot. It's referred to as 7 and 9, but it's really 7 Park Ave. This is 17 Park Ave. 17 Park Avenue is a 2-story frame building that will be included in LCAP. This is 32 Glen Ave, which I mentioned before. We need to figure out what to do with programming on that. 3209, 3211 7th Avenue. And 3229 6th Ave and 3240 6th Avenue. This is 3229 is what we just stabilized. I said that's 3240. It's not. It's 3230. It's a 3-story brick building that it would also be part of LCAP. And then there's this red dot shouldn't be there. I thought it was this one. This is 3340 6th Avenue, which is a 2-story frame. That should also be part of the LCAP program. So that's kind of in a nutshell where the properties lay out and how they're hopefully going to move forward. So this is just a very brief description, and I think everyone's heard it before, of how the Legacy Cities Access Program works. Our bundle is now up to 9 properties. A&D committee has made a recommendation for a developer, Shades Contracting. Shades Contracting actually just last week started participating in the Access Program. The Access Program is a program targeted for minority contractors. And this is actually capitalized for a reason. CPC's program is called the Access Program. And so this is what it stands for, which I can never remember, but it's important to know that it actually does stand for something, and it's not just a program, but it's also a program within a program. And just the basics, the subsidies can go up to $95,000 per unit. The developer must sell to home buyers who must live there for 10 years. And the buildings must be in reasonably close proximity. And I really think that the footprint we put together is pretty compelling. So it's a horrible picture of me.
Just one comment on that. We have not officially awarded the contract to Shades yet. So just for the record.
Yep, no, I hear that A&D has made the recommendation. We need to go further with some due diligence stuff before it can really go to the board for an actual selection. So thanks, Kate. It is important to point that out. So this is some of the pre-development work we've done for LCAP. We've identified the 9 sites. Teresa really did kind of beat the weeds to try to find BIPOC developers who would be a good fit for the program. And that's how Shades was identified. We have TAP a few months ago completed floor plans for all the buildings as they are presently laid out. So that was good work to get behind us. So these are just some of the buildings that I mentioned on that map. You can see them a little closer now. 3229 6th Avenue. This is the one we stabilized. A lot of stabilization work, the new roof, and a lot of framing and masonry work. 3215 6th Avenue, we purchased from Vesta just about a month ago, maybe not even that long ago. 3209, 3211 7th Avenue is the property we reacquired. For this to be eligible, we would need to subdivide the building in half. I have talked to the city on a preliminary basis. This building is very similar to 834, 836 River Street in that it is one building and it was originally built as 2 tax parcels or on 2 tax parcels. This is a not so great shot of 17 Park Avenue. 17 Park Avenue is actually not a bad looking building. And the interior is not bad, all that bad either. So this is 834 River Street. This is 836 River Street. So we currently own this. This is one of the ones we reclaimed. And 834 River Street is what we acquired from Vesta. 3230 6th Avenue is directly across from 3229 6th Avenue, which goes to help with our LCAP application because it shows, you know, the buildings are in pretty close proximity to each other. And the address is wrong on here. This is actually 3340 6th Avenue. And this is the two-story frame building that I'd mentioned. And this is just some information on Shades that Teresa wanted to include. They're from Troy. They're MBE certified. I gotta say, they really seem to know what they're doing.
And just a reminder, we did put out an RFP
Yes, we did.
for developers. They were the most qualified, lowest responsible bidder, and we have not awarded the contract yet.
So, given what I think you just inferred, Kate, I'll just move on. So one of the things I asked Teresa to do was, I said, hey, why don't we put we haven't done this in any of our annual reports. It's just been, okay, this is what we've done this year. But we haven't ever put anything together to show what we've done since 2014. And so this is what we've done. We have acquired 59 properties. And we have sold 17 of those to people who either have renovated them, well, 13 have renovated them, and then there are 4 that are still undergoing renovation. 11 buildings have been stabilized, 22 buildings have been demolished. So that's, you know, getting close to, well, a third of 59. And we constructed, we didn't, but property we sold to Trip ended up in the construction of 4 new homes. Now, if you add all this up together, you get more than 59 properties. That's because some of these cross into more than one category. So in other words, if we demolished a building and then we sold that vacant lot to say Trip and they put a building on it, then that's gonna end up adding to more than 59. So it's another way to say I'm not that bad at math. So closing remarks. You know, I guess really all I want to say is 2021 was an incredibly difficult year for the land bank. You know, and I won't go into why. I think everyone knows why. I will go into a little bit. COVID really, really took a toll on us. Essentially, what it did was it caused our projects to go to market instead of in this time frame. It turned out to be this time frame. And so the operating budget had to stretch that far before revenues could start coming in to support the operating budget, which is why we ran into cash flow problems throughout the year. So, you know, that term, it's always darkest before the dawn. You know, I think that's where the land bank is right now. If you look forward to 2022 and ARPA and LCAP and other things that, you know, we're going to do, I really think that 2022 is going to be by far the most successful year the land bank has experienced. And that will be coming off 2021, which arguably is the worst year the land bank has had because of the COVID challenges and other challenges, you know, that were impacted by COVID. So I'm not saying that just to market or, you know, try to make things sound rosy, but I really feel that that's what's going to happen next year or this year. So let's hope I'm right. And so this is Fifth Avenue a few years ago. I think it's Teresa found this and she said, you know, does this look too silly? I said, oh my God, no, it looks beautiful. Put it up there. So it would be nice if Fifth Avenue, Sixth Avenue started looking like that again. And that's what we're here for. So thanks for putting up with my inability to do Zoom and PowerPoint at the same time and chew gum. But do you guys have any questions? If not, I'll try to figure out how to get out of Zoom.
Did you hang up on everybody?
I don't think so.
When do we think that we can expect financials to come in?
We need the city.
Wait, whoa, we're gonna handle all of that in the next meeting. We're still in the annual meeting.
Oh, that's right. That's special meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony.
All right. Thank you all.
So unless there's any
Thank you.
questions from Tony regarding the report, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn the annual meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right.
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
Well, we had numerous seconds,
Yes.
Brian. It was very-
Brian and I
Okay.
tied.
Yes. So Kate, you're not gonna stop recording? Are we just gonna move right through?
6:46.
Yes, so we're going to call to order at 6:46 PM, a special meeting of the Troy Community Land Bank for March 30th, 2022. And Ms. Chairwoman, would you please call the roll?
Heather King here, Suzanne Spellin,
Here.
Albert Watson,
Here.
Brian Barker,
Here.
Andrew Cooper,
Here.
Jeanette Nicholson,
Here.
Aaron Lozier,
Present.
John Carmelo,
Here.
Christina Maribel, Patricia Riley.
Here.
Okay. So we have on the agenda today, resolution to authorize Albert and Tony to open up a checking account. Kate, do you want to give us some background on this?
Yes, and after we talk about this, I'm happy to take any questions and respond to different questions about the financials and whatnot. So for the past, I don't know, Tony, 2 months, but really intensely in the past 5 days, we've been working really closely with the city of Troy on our ARPA grant. And of course, we also come down to the wire on the audited financials and the 990 usually gets done later, but we had the audit committee meeting and Bonadeo had not finished, it's still in draft, the audited financial statements because they want to put a note in there about ARPA and that we'll be getting ARPA so that, you know, the audited financials reflect that there'll be an influx of revenue. Because to date, well, for last year, we didn't have any grant revenue from enterprise that we would normally have. So they want to note that in the audited financials. And of course, we don't have ARPA yet. So they asked us if we could get a letter or a sign off, or I'm hoping for the actual subrecipient agreement from the city in order to put that note in there so they can finalize the audited financials. So what that means is we will submit as much of the Paris report as we possibly can without the audited financials. That portion will probably be late past the March 31st deadline. It's okay to do that. I don't know that I would carry it out another, month or anything like that, but I think we're fairly close in getting the city to finally agree on a subrecipient agreement to disperse the funds. Now, part of, and the reason we've been talking to the city all week is they wanted to add some additional terms to the subrecipient agreement as contingencies for giving us the money. One of those is that we have a segregated bank account just for that particular grant. And so that's why there's a motion right now, or Heather brought it up on the agenda right now to approve Tony opening a new bank account just for ARPA funds. The second deliverable, for lack of a better word, or contingency, is that we hire a CFO, a true CFO for Tony, so that he doesn't have to, do all the payables, the budgets, everything falls on him, and he's only one person, he's doing the programming as well. So part of that too is internal controls of the organization. And while we had Bowers in place as a bookkeeper, which is good, Tony's not keeping the books, we really need somebody to step up and be a true chief financial officer, do the bookkeeping, and also be able to provide, the budgets for the board, budgets for projects, keep an eye on cash flow, do the financial statements so that they can be presented to you, at the board meetings, that kind of a thing. So that was also going to be a discussion on the agenda, but Albert was still gathering some additional proposals on that. So we're going to table it tonight and, probably talk about it at the next meeting. But one of the conditions of, the ARPA funds is that we hire a CFO to work with Albert and Tony to get, things where they need to be for the land bank and to oversee the grant expenses for ARPA. So that in a nutshell is, what we've been talking about. That's why the financials are late. I'm hoping that Friday I'll know more if we're any closer to the subrecipient agreement. I know the Corporation Council has to draft a bunch of them for all grant recipients, and so there's a holdup there, I believe. So that's kind of a summary of what's been going on and why we're tabling certain things and why we don't have the audited financials. So if anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer it.
Okay,
have
before
one.
you start taking questions, can we just address the resolution
Sure.
to open the checking account, and then we can have a lively discussion after? Does anybody have any questions regarding the resolution to open the new bank account?
I do. So the city wants to have a separate checking account for financials as part of the ARPA budget. Are they going to be on the account as a non-payer, meaning that they'll have access to see funds coming in and going out? Can you talk more about what their role is in terms of access to the accounting going forward?
Sure. So they will not be on the account. What they're asking is, and we've already submitted, a budget of what we would spend the money on so that they, sort of can fit it into the grant requirements of the American Rescue Plan. And so they pre-approved that budget. Covers just about everything, mostly of, property expenses to LCAP, which is one of the projects we talked about in applying for grant funds. So the way that they would like the accounting done is the finance committee, and I'm going to be part of it too, is going to oversee what expenses come in to be paid. We would internally, through our process, approve those, but then the city would like to see it before they're actually paid. So at least that was the last scenario we discussed. So they would also be part of the expense approval process, per se, I guess, for lack of a better word. So, and of course, that particular bank account and, the grant expenditures would be a line item in our budget and or our financials as well.
Very good. And are we going to contact are we going to be in conjunction with the same bank that we're currently banking out of, or we're going to be looking elsewhere?
I really would like, well, it's in the resolution, it mentions Capcom. Our banking right now is with Pioneer, and, I really would like to have the bank account in a completely different bank, so there can't be any possibility of cross-contamination. I was thinking Capcom. I mean, I'm not married to that, but I was thinking Capcom because once we have an account with them, I'd like to knock on their door to see how they might want to, maybe help us in other ways.
This may not be relevant, but if anyone banks with Capcom, then you already know they're in the middle of merging with SEFCU.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know that really makes a difference, but.
No, that shouldn't have any impact at all.
Yeah, Albert, are you reviewing other, like what the fee structure would be, opening another account at various banks or credit unions, or?
Well, I
How are
haven't
we
looked
gonna-
into, I've just been working on the bookkeeping thing, like trying to get some proposals on pricing for that, but I haven't looked into the fee structure for maintaining a savings account or money market, whatever we want to put it in at another financial institution. No, I haven't done that.
It would seem like that would be good information to have.
Yeah.
I would just say this, and you're not the only public authority. I have other clients that go through this. And I know that it probably seems like I'm trying to move at the speed of light here, but we have to reach an agreement and meet the contingencies with the city ASAP, or we're going to be having a much different conversation here. So that's why, we are making the suggestion, and Capcom is a credit union. So I don't, maybe Tony, you can get a fee schedule or something to satisfy people, but we don't have a lot of time because they can't disperse funds to us until that account is open. So we're moving here. Normally I would say absolutely, check out your options, see what the best one is. And you can still do that. I'm not telling you can't, but there's a lot of things that need to fall into line very quickly, including the CFO bookkeeping piece. So I'm doing the best I can. So.
Well, I would just suggest at least another credit union, like Hudson River, for instance, which is much smaller, isn't involved in a merger, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I mean, it just to, swallow up SEFCU. Just because we're in a hurry doesn't sit well, I guess.
It could be a good point, only because, and Tony, I didn't think of this too, but when KeyBank did some mergers, and I think it was with First Niagara, it was horrendous. And
Right.
Part of that was pretty terrible.
No kidding.
for the customers, right? And
Yes.
account numbers.
Oh,
were all
also for the employees too. It was pretty terrible. That was terrible back then.
Yeah. I think what Tony was thinking is Capcom is right on his route to and from his home to the land bank. So he could easily access, it for us if we need it. But Again, as long as we settle on a bank and we do it within the next week, that I'm good. Doesn't matter what it is, but yeah, I mean, Tony, we might want to rethink that.
And I'm not, like I said, I'm not married to it. I mean, we've got Key Bank right across the street, Bank of America around the corner. So,
We also
Well,
have
I would-
Tresco.
I just, I,
Albert, you're the treasurer, what you think. might
I don't have
matter.
a
Go ahead.
problem with, I don't have a problem with capital community, other federal credit union because they're nonprofits. I mean, Key Bank, I mean, well, they're quote unquote nonprofits. They're not really nonprofits, but anyway, they're set up as nonprofits, so I don't really have a problem with that. And the merger shouldn't have any impact on this at all.
Yes, you can say that easily, but having lived through one
Well,
as a customer, it's not a pleasant experience.
I've been told
I'm
that,
wondering-
but, I mean.
I'm wondering, oh, I
So
was
what I
wondering
will-
it,
So what I will say is that Capcom and CEFCU share the same online portal program. They use the same internet company for all their online banking. So the merger over should be a little more seamless and going from like a First Niagara to a Key Bank. And with them being local, it's I'm okay with it.
I was wondering if we can just, put a vote on the resolution, with the caveat that, giving the executive director the permission to shop, but to
Well-
open the checking account as soon as possible.
actually,
The only problem with that is it has to be specific to the banking institution because that's what they're gonna want.
I don't have an
Specific.
issue with Capcom either.
Yeah, I don't. the
Yeah,
grand
in other
scheme of things.
words, when you go to open a bank account, they want the corporate resolution from the land bank naming. it's giving
Naming the
20
bank.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
Okay.
all.
That was my question. Yeah.
okay.
I'm good with Capcom.
Me too.
I mean, I raised the issue, but not because I thought it was a problem, but just because it might have been or could have been, and it's something to know.
No, it's a very valid question.
I'll abstain.
All right, so do I have a
I do
motion?
recommend, I would recommend putting it in a money market or something like that, but. 'Cause you don't want.
Yeah, so does
don't
this
want-
resolution limit us to a particular account that is
You know what?
titled a checking account, or does it? Or
Yeah,
is
you
there
don't wanna-
flexibility?
You don't want that kind of money just sitting around an account and not gaining any interest or anything at all.
It's not paying anything right now, anyways.
Yes,
that?
it's true.
Well, it's
No,
better
the
than,
only,
Yeah, by
the
the end of
only-
the year, it might though.
if you're talking about putting it in at a checking account with 0% versus, 0.2 or whatever, it's just better than. I can't see it sitting in a checking account making nothing. That's what I'm saying.
Yep,
But then the other aspect is that if you do six or more transactions, then you're gonna have service fees on there. So if this is going to be.
Well,
an-
maybe that's something you could possibly negotiate. So with that kind of money sitting in the bank, that's something you can negotiate.
yeah, I mean, I think, when Tony goes to the bank, that, he should probably sit and find out what they recommend, because, I mean, like a Bank of America would say the same thing. We've got 2-3%, whatever, put it in here. The only requirement really is that it's segregated. And even if a portion of the money was put in a money market or something, again, fine, you know what I mean, but it just has to be segregated from all our other funds.
Yeah, I'm looking at the resolution. The resolution just says a segregated account. It doesn't, right? It doesn't say anything more than that. Which,
thought named Capcom.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't
No, it
state
does say
what
Capcom,
type
but
of
just in
account.
terms
It
of
doesn't
a
state
type
whether
of
it be a
account.
money market or a.
yeah.
So
So
that's something that could be determined after,
right. That's what I was.
is the
just
type
want
of
to clarify.
account, but
Yeah.
believe that we should just vote on the resolution as it stands.
And
So,
I should just mention that I cannot open it myself. I have to, Albert has to actually be, as treasurer, be the officer that opens that.
I'll make the motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second,
Aaron, second. Suzanne?
Yes,
Albert?
Yes.
Brian Barker?
Yes.
Andrew Cooper?
Yes.
Jeanette Nicholson?
Oh, I'll abstain if it's
That's-
designated as CEFCU and COCAP, I guess.
That's fine. Aaron Lozier made the second, John Carmelo,
Yes.
Christina Maribel is absent, and Patricia Riley.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor with Jeanette abstaining? Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Thank you, everybody. And now,
That was good discussion.
any other questions regarding? Well, Kate, any other comments about the CFO or any other questions with what Kate brought up? This is
Yeah,
just open discussion now.
I have a question about the CFO. If we're putting this off for a month to shop a little bit, does that put us in a bad position with getting ARPA going?
Can we hold a special meeting next week?
Yes. Yes, the longer it goes, it's a problem because we're not prepared. And, you know, I think though, and we walk a fine line. I think if Albert can get the proposals in the next few days, we're okay and we can compare, and then, you know, we could have a special meeting. I never want to quash, you know, getting different, I mean, it's professional services, so we don't have to bid it, but, you know, getting, you know, different quotes and things.
Yep.
The one that probably went out that you've seen was from a firm, Al Michaels, who has been around for 30 years, and he is the CFO for a lot of my other clients, Albany County IDA, Bethlehem IDA, you know, you name it, go on and on. So
I thought his qualifications were
yeah,
significant.
And Albert and Heather and Tony, you know, got a chance to talk to him, you know, just for a basic introduction to see if it was something we even wanted to do. And then Albert was going to, you know, get some other quotes and things, which I think is important to have, you know, and to take a look at, but we really do have to move.
Well, the company I'm talking to is the bookkeeper for the IDA. So it's just, you know,
The Troy IDA.
yeah, so.
So is the bookkeeper would
It's-
require,
Let's not call it a bookkeeper. It's a real
Right,
CFO.
CFO.
well, that was my question. Are we gonna be talking to a bookkeeper as well as a CFO? And will that, how much additional money would that be a month?
So
No.
Jeanette, the cost for this, Kate, how much did we pay our current accounting firm, which was not acting as a CFO?
36,000.
Time out. Time out. So let me just back up because I know we're rolling through this really quickly. And I've been living it day and night for like a week. So for the purpose of having a CFO would be not only to do all the financial projections, budgets, payables, you know, you name it. He would also, or he or she would also be the bookkeeper. They would write the checks, you know, for expenses and would present them to be signed by the appropriate folks, and then do the appropriate approvals for, you know, Heather or Albert or Tony, whatever that's got to go through. And so either one, CFO for hire, who does the Troy IDA, which we're getting a proposal from, or Al Michaels would take on that whole executive function.
Okay.
And at least right now, Al Michaels' proposal I think it was $2,500 a month for that whole function. Whereas last year, Bowers for just the bookkeeping was like, what, Tony, 35,000?
That was 36,000.
Crazy.
Which seemed
And-
exorbitant.
And the books aren't great, you know, I mean, we know this. And
Right.
so when I go to do the Paris report, I want to pull my hair out. And they had to be replaced anyway. I know you've been talking about it for a while, but then COVID hit and right. So you're really getting a financial officer plus the bookkeeping in one contractor.
So, which will also relieve Tony to focus on, you know, leadership.
Higher level things, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, once we do, fingers crossed, get the ARPA funds and we go through the budget about, you know, what money gets spent where, there is funds in that budget as well for a project manager for LCAP for, you know, additional staff. And we're going to have to sit down and really take a look at the future cash flow of the organization and kind of plan that out for the next 24 to 36 months. And that's where the real value of the CFO comes in as well, right? Is to forecast and to, Tony has spent so much time this week alone trying to help me, explain to the city what, our justifiable expenses for ARPA and what we would spend the money on, because they had a bunch of questions. So, but we do need to move fairly quickly, yes.
I will make myself available.
And the recommendation will come from the finance committee?
Yeah, I think they will look at it first. And then, I think they'll have a recommendation, but we can certainly circulate both or more, all the proposals, you know what I mean? So you can take a look, but I don't know that I'd let this go out much farther than tops 2 weeks.
And the board, so it doesn't go out for bid, but the board still has to vote
We have to take action.
to take that action. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, time's of the essence on this one, so.
The one
more.
thing I forgot to mention as part of, and I'm just trying to be as transparent as possible. As part of the audited financials, I had mentioned that we were waiting on, to be able to say that we're going to get ARPA funds, and the city technically hasn't done that yet. The city also wants to see that note in our audited financials because our financials roll up into the city's financials, right? So the better the income looks for, the land bank over the next year, the better it looks for the city as well. So, I think part of that, and they are working as quickly as they can too, because they know they're kind of holding up the audited financials as well. So, Andy, the comptroller, we've all been, and the mayor's office, we've all been working together to get it done. And, they're really committed to it, but it's complicated. It's $1 million. Plus they have one lawyer that's doing all of them, it's a tough spot, but hopefully we'll get it done.
Kate, thank you.
Thanks for all the time you put into this, Kate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Is there any other questions?
So we think we're going to try to get another meeting in then as soon as we're ready to review a proposal.
Yes.
Right. So that could be next week or the week after.
Yeah, and I mean, conceivably, you've got a couple things here. So if the city's going to get a subrecipient agreement done, you'd have to approve that and all the conditions, right? You'd have to approve the Paris report, the audited financials. Like there's a lot more to that meeting if we had this all teed up, the CFO approval, but something tells me, I'm not sure we'll get all our ducks in a row at the same meeting, but we'll do the best that we can.
Are we
Because
waiting
we-
on more than one other proposal? Is there other prospects
just-
out there that we're
just-
waiting on?
I just wanted to check with the one that the IDA uses, just to get 2 proposals,
Sure.
No, that's smart, Albert.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So it'll all come back to you all at some point to approve, everything. But we're really just waiting on the city because we can't really move forward with LCAP or anything else unless and until we know we have the additional funding, right? So, it's taken months. Originally, we thought money would flow by December and,
October.
Yeah.
October. Tony was told
Yeah.
October.
yeah. But again, I'm not picking on the city. It's just, it's a process, right? Like everything else is. I'm just saying that, there's a lot of hoops we have to jump through as well because they want to make sure that, we'll be good stewards of the money and that the financials look good when they have to report to their grantor as well.
No, it's been positive.
I have a question about the CFO role. Would that person or that service provide risk assessment? Because I feel like that's something we need. Just like let's hearing about the financial planning, and it was October, and then it was December, and then now it's April. But I'm not like, that's not something I know about. I don't know what CFOs really do that much. And then, so I just am like, is that something that we get? Just curious.
Yeah. I mean, based upon my working relationship with Al Michaels, which is what you had be sent out. He and I do work together on things like that, and projections and, internal controls and, review of insurance, that kind of a thing. And governance committee should really be part of that too. But yes, I mean, that would be, and from what I understand, and again, this is just me talking because I've seen the books year after year because of the Paris report, and we do that, is at least Al's recommendation is start a new QuickBooks file. So, we'll start it, we'll import, portion of this year, but what's the past and Bauer's file is over here because there's a lot of issues with, names of vendors and unclassified expenses and things like that. So we're trying to get a fresh start. And that's part of the risk assessment, is that everything gets classified correctly so that when you're reading the financials, they're accurate. So.
I was also thinking about just say contractor issues and other discussions about what financial options are or are not available to us with people that we have worked with, and how do we, are those things that we should have known more ahead of time and or could have planned around. I didn't want to get into a deep dive or anything, just.
You mean
Just
like
wondering.
with regard to projects and project budgets?
Yeah, well, and what was it we were discussing about? See, like I said, I'm short on sleep. My brain's just slow today.
Andrew, that's
Like,
okay.
like,
If
for
it comes
example,
to,
if a contractor was judgment proof, right? Like we couldn't, because of their legal and or financial situation, that really it limits our options should we run into problems.
Sure.
And and I'm like, is that a financial type of assessment, or is that I don't know if it like that's
Sure.
so that's where I was going with.
So Andrew,
Yes. So two points there. One, a CFO, and this is my wish list because I've seen it. When we bid contracts out for contractors, they say it's going to be X and you hire them based upon being the lowest responsible bidder. But then they change order the heck out of something.
Right.
And, we don't have the huge cash flow to cover a lot of that. So, each project should really have a budget, and the CFO could keep an eye on that. And we got to hold the contractor to that. Now, there's so many cost escalations these days because of the cost of materials. That's a little different. But one thing that we really haven't done is required a contingency budget in
Sure.
The second part of this is the vendors. And most of the time, Andrew, no matter what, and I have a couple cases pending in court right now against carpentry LLCs and things, they're going to be LLCs. There's not going to, they do it on purpose, to insulate their personal liability. They're not going to have a lot of assets in an LLC. With a corporation, like a real developer, like a Greco, or, somebody that is well established, they're a corporation, not an LLC. They're going to have assets. They're going to have insurance that, may or may not cover whatever the claim is. But for these smaller jobs, it's really difficult because that's what they are, is LLCs. So no matter what, it's going to be difficult to, that's why on public projects, a lot of the times you see the people post a bond in case they walk off, in case there's a problem. But the problem with that is, not everybody's going to want to, or it would even be worth doing that. Because
or it gets reflected in the bids you get. there are
Yeah,
so
it's
much-
it's small beans. It's not like you're building the Albany County Courthouse for $20 million. You know, you just want to renovate 11 Winnie for, 100 or whatever. But yes, those things need to get addressed. And I think the property budgets and or our contracting of vendors going forward ties into that CFO monitoring those expenses and letting us know, hey, this is a problem.
Mhm. Well, good. I mean, I just mostly just curious what the, how far that goes in that role. But thanks.
Aaron, did you have something you wanted to?
Yeah, I was just going to add on having things like signed W-9s for not only the LLC but also for all the members, making sure that having a business owner policy is in place, as well as verified IDs, and then also getting references for their work should be a model, because that's what the public does, and that's what the public demands. I'm not sure if that's a land-based process, but it certainly should be a part of the list of controls, as well as a background check.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, a lot of this, is process stuff that never really got tightened up, because when Monica left us, we had an interim ED, and that really wasn't his focus. And then Tony steps into the land bank and we say, oh, here, let's go do all these big projects. So without any real systems in place like this, and really have thought it out.
Or a project manager.
Right. And I think ARPA really, and what we can do with that and how they want it handled really has taught us a lot about what we really need to be doing. So. Anything else?
Well, if there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Before I do that though, Kate, and Albert will be communicating with the board regarding the CFO and the other items. And so please don't forget to check your email. But I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
Tony.
night.
Thanks, Kate.
7:20. You are welcome.